So in the morning session, our guest Upendra Choudhary sir has taken this first session on the title Changing Research Scenario and Opportunities for Funding. So that was a wonderful session. So much of insightful on this. Uh, Let me recap some of the important points, sir. Deliberated upon those points, like we are shifting from multidisciplinary towards transdisciplinary, and then sir discussed about some very good points about our country, India, that we are now third largest economy in Asian region, and now we are seeking for UNSC permanent membership. We are like into club of France, UK, China, United States, Soviet Russia, and then sir talked about like our domestic things like smart cities, and then in on academic fronts sir talked about NAC and points for professorship. Then sir talked about some of very informative things like fellowships. We are having like uh, 4 or 5 important fellowships, postdoc fellowships, senior fellowships, etc. So now we are again eagerly waiting for a next session, which is sir already told that it would be more important and uh, like most sort of the uh, concept that how to write a research proposal, not only a research proposal but a successful research proposal. So emphasis applied on successful research proposal. So we have everyone eagerly waiting for this. Sir, now over to you. You can begin your session on this how to write a successful research proposal. Thank you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Rakesh Kumar. Yeah, in the first lecture, we discussed what is there. Now I will discuss how you will get that, right? And that is very important. So, whenever you apply to any funding council, forget about ICSSR, you apply to any Indian other funding agencies or maybe in foreign funding agencies. So, the first thing that is very important for selection of any research proposal, how you write that research proposal, whether that conforms to the format they are expecting or you write in a way that is not acceptable, right? So on that, we have basically, in my ICSR time, I studied the funding council formats of the, the American Funding Council, Social Science Research Council in New York. We have studied the ESRC of UK. We have studied the South African Funding Council, Thailand Funding Council, China, Russia. So almost all, important funding councils research format we have studied. And on that basis, we have developed a research proposal format that is applicable not only just when you apply to ICSSR, rather it is applicable to anywhere, including a foreign funding agency, right? And why I'm talking of a good research proposal, what is the importance of that? A good research proposal actually serves three main purposes. First, it serves as a proxy to interaction. Sometimes if the research proposal is self-explanatory, there is no need for interaction or interview. So when you write a good research proposal, it acts as a proxy to interaction in the sense that if everything is self-explanatory, there is no need for confusion, or there is no confusion in the research proposal format, then it avoids the need for interview or interaction. So that is the one first benefit of writing a good research proposal. Second, it also promises success. Most of the funding councils, they select you on the basis of the quality of your research proposal. And if it is written in a very good way, so that also promises success, or you will be successful in your endeavor for funding. Third is, it creates a positive impression about, you as a researcher, not only on the basis of your present research skills, but what is the future potential of you as a researcher, right? So whenever, the expert committee looks at your application, they just don't look at your application, your topic, rather the quality of your writing, the style of your writing. From that, they make an assessment about your present potential as a researcher and future potential also as a researcher, right? So because of these reasons, you should write a research proposal, in a very good way, so that it is not only self-explanatory, rather you become successful in your endeavor to get research funding, right? So with this, I will start, the format we have developed for ICSR, and you should carefully listen to all these, steps that is needed in the research proposal format. And the first research step in that format is the title of the research proposal. The first thing, page that attracts the attention of the selectors or the evaluators is the title of the research proposal. And when I'm saying about the title of the research proposal, you should write the title in such a way that it is qualitatively better title, right? Because as there is a saying in the English, first impression lasts long. First impression lasts long. So when you write a good research proposal, or you just imagine, you just go to the library and see that there is a good title book. So immediately you will see what is there inside in that book, because you are attracted with the title of the book, and immediately you will see what is there in the content. Same is the case with the research proposal. So when you write a research proposal, first thing that attracts the attention of the evaluator is the title of the research proposal, and in that way you have to write a qualitatively better title of the research proposal. And when I'm talking of a qualitatively better research proposal title, I mean three things, or you can say three C's. C for cat, right? The first C stands for concise. Second C stands for clarity or clear, and third is for catchy. So three C stands for: one for concise, one for clear, third is for catchy, or what is called attractive, right? Let us discuss first about the concise thing. Sometimes in ICSR, we received research proposals, the title was a paragraph length title. Sometimes people write the title of the research proposal which is about a paragraph length. This shows the poor research and writing capability of the researcher. Don't write a research proposal title that is more than 12 words or maximum 15 words. It is not necessary that you write a lengthy title, right? Or in order to convey your things, you need a lengthy title. It is not needed. Writing a research proposal is an art. Doing research is an art, and it is not necessary that you write, a lengthy title to impress the evaluators or you convey your points, right? So what I'm trying to suggest to you is, at least in social science, in a related subject, don't write more than 12 words to 15 words. Be miser in that sense, right? Be miser in that sense that you don't write too much, because writing too much is not always needed. Rather, that gives a poor impression about you as a researcher, right? So first, look at the first C, that is concise, right? That is concise. Don't write too much. Don't write too much lengthy title. Don't write in a way that will give a poor impression about you as a researcher. So you should look first, see that is concise. Clear means there should be a connection between the text and the title. There should be a connection, or you should establish a connection between the text and the title. If sometimes people write title that is not reflected in the text. Here the title is about India, China, but the text is about India, Pakistan, right? So don't write in that way, because that gives a very poor impression, because there is no reflection of the text and the title. So titles should reflect the text, and text should be based on the title, right? So clear in that sense, that you should not be writing something there is a gap, there is a disconnection, or there is a separation between the text and the title. So the second important C that you should look is your clarity, and clarity is possible only when you are using unambiguous words, and you are very clear about your ideas, and that idea you should write in the text, and the title should be same, and this C you should work for. The third C is for catchy. Same news item is written in different news headings in different newspapers. Why they write in different headings? Same news item is written in different attractive news headings in different newspapers, just to attract you as a reader. You got my point? So what I'm trying to say is, write in a way that is attractive, that catches the eyes of the evaluators. Ultimately, they will have the veto. they will make the final selection. So write in an attractive way, write in a catchy way, write in a way that attracts the evaluators, and there is a chance of selecting your research proposal if you take care of these three C's for your title, right? Clarity, conciseness, and attractiveness. So you include these three things in your title, and that will make your title an interesting one, a very good one, and this is the first step where you should focus, right? The second step is the summary of your research proposal, abstract of your research proposal, right? If you are writing to Indian funding agencies, don't write an abstract more than 300 words to 500 words. Minimum 300 words, maximum limit is 500 words, unless and until you are asked for, right? Nowadays, all funding councils are shifting from words to characters. Words to characters means letters. So nowadays, writing words are not important. Rather, in computer that it is already fixed. If you write down more than the character required for your application, the submit button will not be highlighted. You got my point? So nowadays, the things are becoming very systematic. So if you're writing to Indian funding agencies, don't write more than 300 to 500 words. And if you're writing to foreign funding agencies, sometimes they ask for 750 words or 1000 words. So I would suggest you that if you are applying to any other funding agency, you just see their guidelines and then send the abstract. But you should write the abstract in such a way that it reflects everything. At least in a thumb rule, I would say that if you write in a way that even if I don't have the time to study or go through your detailed proposal, from your abstract I can understand what is there in your research proposal, right? You should write your research proposal abstract in such a way that even if I don't go through the whole research proposal, I can understand what are your main arguments, what you think about that topic, what is your idea about that topic, so I can understand that from your abstract. So don't write more than 300 to 500 words, and write in a way that includes everything, so that even if the evaluators will not go through the details of the proposal, at least they will understand from your abstract what you have written, what is your idea of research, how you want to proceed. So basically these things must be taken care of by you when you write the research proposal, right? The third thing about your research proposal is the study context or background. Is the study context or background. What is that? Whenever you visit a doctor, the doctor will first ask you how long you are suffering from this problem. Doctor will ask you, now when you say, suppose I'm suffering from fever, I'm suffering from this problem, that problem, the doctor would say how long you are suffering from, because he's trying to make an assessment whether this problem you developed today or you are having this problem for the last 1 week or maybe last 15 days. Then he will ask, depending on the nature of the disease, he will ask you in your family who is suffering from this problem, because he want to make an assessment whether it is an independent development or it has a genetic background, right? In a similar way, as a researcher, you have to make connection with the larger context when you are writing a research proposal. So your topic must not start all of a sudden. Rather, you should give a coherent background, a sound background, and from that, there are lots of developments in the country, outside the country. There are lots of debates, there are lots of discussions, there are lots of controversies. So try to link your research topic along, in the background of that research controversy, research topic, research discussion. So you should link those with that of your research topic. That will make it more interesting and logical. Right? Your topic would be more interesting and logical if you connect that with a larger debate, if you connect that with the larger issues, if you connect that with the larger controversy. Even in a movie, without a background, you can't understand the movie, right? So similar, in the similar manner, when you write a research proposal, start with a context, start with a background, and you can use that, debates, the controversies, the larger issues within the country, outside the country, within your community, outside the community, within the society, outside the larger society. So there are lots of issues. If you are writing from, suppose you are writing about poverty, there is a lot of controversy about poverty. So it is always better to link your research topic with the larger issues or larger perspective, and then the topic would be more interesting and more logical, right? So without a context, without the background, the study would be incomplete, or it will not give a complete picture. So in that way, when you start a study, start with a proper background, proper context, right? And then that will make your study more interesting and logical, right? The next important thing about writing the research proposal is the objective, study objective. What are your study objectives? And you should write those objectives in a very clear-cut way so that there is no confusion about your research objectives, right? And you should write the objective in such a way that even if I don't see the other parts of your research proposal from your objectives, I can easily understand what is there in your mind, what exactly you want to achieve, what exactly is in your mind to do that through your research proposal. So study objectives should be clear. There is no rule that it should be 5 objectives, 10 objectives, 7 objectives. It depends on the researcher, it depends on the topic. But whenever you write the research proposal, your proposal would be incomplete without study objectives, and you should be very clear about your objectives, right? And those who are very clear about the research objectives, they can easily convey what they exactly think about that topic to the larger audience or to the evaluators. So your studies should have a format. That format should conform to this, that you should have not only about a good research title, you should also, the title should accompany with the abstract. You should have a study background, and the next important thing is you should have a good study objective. They should be very clear. They should be written very unambiguously. They should not be confusing, and that, because that ultimately decides how much clear you are. Now we have several people have taught us in schools, in colleges, in universities, but we now know that who were clear in their class and who were confused in the class. हम सभी टीचर है, बट हमें टीचर होने के बाद भी पता है कि कौन सा टीचर कितने क्लियर थे अपनी क्लास में, कौन सा टॉपिक को कितना बढ़िया से कोई समझा पाते थे. इट इज ऑल डिपेंड on the clarity of the teacher. So इसीलिए when you write a good research proposal, you should be writing very clear cut objectives or very clear cut research objectives that will make you clear as a researcher, and also it will convey to the evaluators that you are very clear about your research, right? The next important point about your research proposal is your conceptual framework. Conceptual framework, that is an important part of the research proposal. Most of the time researchers, they don't have this conceptual framework in the research. There are lots of terminologies, there are lots of concepts, and there is a lot of confusion about those concepts. There are lots of controversies about those concepts, right? And nowadays we expect that you should write non-controversial and unambiguous concepts or terminologies in your research proposal. Earlier we used to say chairman. What we say now? पहले हम chairman कहते थे, अभी हम क्या कहते हैं?
Chairperson.
क्यों कहते हैं?
Sir, because it is contended time and again that it is favoring to one gender specifically.
Gender neutral.
Simple.
Yes.
To introduce gender neutrality.
Yes. Because we are saying chairperson, because we want to use gender neutral concept. Chairman कहो, chairwoman कहो, chair transgender कहो, इतनी confusion में कौन जाएगा? Why don't use a term which is gender neutral, that is chairperson? Whoever, male, female, transgender, कोई भी हो, तो whoever is occupying the chair or sitting in the chair is the chairperson. Earlier we used to say physically handicapped. अभी हम क्या कहते हैं?
Differently able.
Because when you say physically handicapped, you ruled out all the positive qualities of that person. उसमें भाई कोई blind हो सकता है, but उसकी memory थोड़ी खराब होगा, उसकी हाथ पैर थोड़ी खराब होगा. You got my point? So earlier used to say physically handicapped. Now we used to say it is not physical, it is differently abled. Government जिसको कहते हैं दिव्यांग. Government कहता है दिव्यांग. It's a government term, but we in academics we say differently abled. पहले हम कहते थे निग्रो, जो अमेरिका में रहते थे, हम ब्लैक लोग, हम उनको निग्रो कहते थे. अभी क्या कहते हैं?
People of color.
African American.
अफ्रो अमेरिकन कहते हैं, अफ्रो अमेरिकन, because it's a neutral term. It is against racism. हम अगर किसी को निग्रो कहते हैं, we are encouraging racism, and here we are using a term that is neutral term, color neutral term, that is Afro American, Afro American, Indo American, ऐसे term हम use करते हैं just to avoid color, just to avoid color bias or to use color, neutrality, right? So earlier we used to say rape victim. अभी हम क्या कहते हैं?
So rape survivor.
क्या कहते हैं? Why we are saying survivor?
So because we are showing that to eliminate stigma, social stigma.
Not stigma. When you say victim, you are understanding her as a victim, because you are saying, or you are understanding her as a, जैसे बिचारी कहते हैं ना, बिचारी टाइप का मतलब सोचते हैं. But when you say survivor, you are associating her with courage, how she had come with that trauma, come out of the trauma, or her surviving spirit, or her spirit to survive from the situation or the adversity of that situation. So instead of saying victim, we are saying as a survivor. So these are the terms now we are using, or particularly earlier we were talking of development, we are now talking of empowerment. Earlier we talked of so many things, now we are using different things, and basically the purpose is, for terrorism, for example, there is a term called terrorism, and terrorism is a very controversial word, and there are more than 100 definitions of terrorism, but nobody understands the other's definition of terrorism. हम जिसको टेररिज्म कहते हैं, पाकिस्तान उसको फ्रीडम फाइटर कहता है. तालिबान को हम बुरा कहते हैं, पाकिस्तान मेक्स ए डिस्टिंक्शन बिटवीन गुड तालिबान एंड बैड तालिबान. गुड तालिबान कौन है? जो इंडिया को टारगेट करते हैं. बैड तालिबान कौन है? ना जो पाकिस्तान को टारगेट करते हैं. We call Masood Azhar as a global terrorist, but China refused to accept that till last year. So what I'm trying to say, secularism carries different meaning for different political parties. Congress अपने आप को सेकुलर कहता है, बीजेपी को कम्युनल कहता है. बीजेपी कांग्रेस को कहता है कम्युनल, क्यों? Because it criticizes it as appeasing the minority. So there are lots of controversies about democracy, socialism, communalism, secularism, terrorism, different terms. So are you going to use those controversial words in your thesis? Are you going to use those controversial words in your research?
In fact,
proposal?
sir, sorry to intervene. Sir, in fact, in our criminal jurisprudence also, for rape victims, we use prosecutrix. That is the term legally we use.
Yes. So yes, nowadays the only, if you think of law, commerce, management, social science, whatever is the discipline, the main things are, we should be using gender neutral, color sensitive, caste neutral, religion neutral words. I will share my experience with you. Once I was writing a research paper where I used a word called Fidine attack. I used a word Fidine attack in my research paper that was objected by the publisher. They said, Dr. Choudhary, you can't use this word because this offends the religious sentiments of a religious community. So instead of that Fidine attack word, you have to use a very neutral word. So in that respect, I use the word suicide terrorism or suicide attack instead of Fidine attack, right? So what I'm trying to say is nowadays you can't, this, love jihad. आजकल आप लोगों ने सुना होगा, गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से बहुत बार ये यूज करते हैं वर्ड लव जिहाद, टुकड़े टुकड़े ज्ञान, right? These words are used by the government, but these are very controversial words. These are very ambiguous words, and you can't, government is free to use any word, because politicians, they can fool any people, but you are not a government servant, you are not a government spokesperson, you are not a party man, so you are an academic, and you should use those terms which are color neutral, gender sensitive, that did not, or that do not offend a particular community. So you should be very sensitive about the words you are using in your research proposal, or the terminologies you are using in your research proposal. And that's why your research proposal, if it consists of any controversial words, there is a sufficient explanation why you are using this word love jihad, tukde tukde gyan, or any controversial word I had given you the example. So what I'm trying to say is, you are a researcher. You should not be biased for a particular community. You should not be biased towards the government, or you are not a political party person. So you as a researcher should be unbiased, and your research should be supported by facts and evidences, right? Now they are saying love jihad. The interfaith marriage existed before, I think, before the origin of religion, right? So it cannot be, if you are using a word, it doesn't mean that that is happening now only. So interfaith marriage existed earlier, it existed in the medieval period, it is still there now, or it will be there in the future. So what is great thing about love jihad, all this? So these are political terms. So we as a researcher should not use these politically value loaded research terms in our research proposal, right? You should be careful about the words you are using in your research proposal. So that is another important step while writing a research proposal, right? Next is your hypothesis and research questions. Next important step in writing a research proposal is your hypothesis and research question. What is a hypothesis? Anyone in one sentence can make it clear what is a hypothesis?
Sir, it is an assumption framed by the
hypothesis.
research
A
scholar that
statement
is
can be proved or
Anyone?
a statement which can be proved or disapproved.
क्या है hypothesis?
Sir, a statement which can be proved or disapproved.
मुझे सुन पा रहे हैं?
Sir, a statement which is based on assumption, which we have to prove it.
मुझे सुन पा रहे हैं?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You
Yes,
are
you're
audible. Very
audible.
much clear, sir.
A statement which can be proved or
What
disproved.
is a hypothesis? अरे आप लोग मुझे सुन पा रहे हो ना, नहीं सुन पा रहे हो?
Sir, सुन पा रहे हैं?
Hello?
Yes, sir. You
Sir,
are
you're
audible, sir.
audible.
Write
You are
in the
audible.
chat box if you can't hear me.
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Sir, you are very much audible.
Hello?
Hello, sir. Upen, sir, we can hear you.
Hello?
I think he's having some technical
I
issue.
think there
He
is
will
a
be back in
problem.
a few minutes. Yeah.
Speaker's end, I think. I think you will. Sir, please unmute yourself.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. You are audible. We can hear you, sir.
Okay. So
Go ahead.
I was talking about research questions and hypotheses, which are an important part of writing a research proposal. What is a hypothesis? I just wanted to know it from the participants in one sentence. क्या है hypothesis? Anyone?
Sir, it is basically assumption or prediction, but which will be based on scientific analysis.
Okay. Okay. So basically, when we are tentative generalization which can be tested. Okay. In one sentence, I would explain what is a hypothesis. That will be useful for you lifelong, right? Throughout your life, you can use this. Hypothesis is basically solution-oriented statements or assumptions which can be proved, disapproved, or nullified. In one sentence, I am saying solution-oriented research assumptions which can be proved, disapproved, or nullified. Whenever you are proposing a solution for a particular issue, that can be a hypothesis, right? But once you go to the field, test it, it may be tested, it may be proved, it may be disapproved, or it may be nullified, so that is what is called a hypothesis. So let me repeat it again. Hypothesis is a solution-based research assumptions or statements that can be proved, disapproved, or nullified. What is the research questions? Whenever you are doing research, you may come across, through many, issues, many questions for which you don't have the answer, right? There are many happenings, there are many issues happening inside the country, outside the country, inside your surrounding, outside your surrounding, and you come out or you come across with those questions, but you don't have the answer to those questions. So in your research proposal, a good researcher is supposed to write the hypothesis and research questions that is there in that research arena. So this is an important part of your research proposal, that whenever you are writing a research proposal is not complete without hypothesis and research questions. And in hypothesis, you write about tentative research statements, that is basically solution oriented, and which you try to prove, disapprove, and nullify. And in research questions, you raise the questions, but you don't have the answer now because you have not done the research. And once you go to the field, interact with the universe, observe the things, you come out with the answers. And if you come out with the answers, that is fine. If you don't come out with the answer, then you raise those questions for future researchers, right? So a good hypothesis should have research questions and hypothesis, right? Next is your review of literature. Next important step of your research proposal is the review of literature. What is that in review of literature? Review of literature में हम क्या करते हैं? What we do
we review the existing literature in the given topic.
क्यों रिव्यू करते हैं? What is the purpose of reviewing
To
the
find out the research gap.
One, और क्या हो सकता है?
Find the idea of research. Research gap, or
and to find the critical review of the existing literature.
नहीं, critical review क्यों करते हैं? That is एक तो
for the better understanding of the topic.
Better understanding of the topic. Anyway,
work has already been done in the said domain and the other research work that has been done in the domain.
Okay, review of literature means three things, or you do review of literature for three purposes. First, or for three questions you can say. First, who has done what, right? Who has done what? जो आपने कहा critical review करते हैं.
बोलो ना, मेरे को बात कर, कोई दिक्कत थोड़ी, बताइए.
Right? When you do the review of literature, the first thing that is there is, who has done what? किसने क्या काम किया है? Who has done what in that area where you are doing research? First question. Second, what are the major shortcomings or research gaps? जिस एरिया में काम किया है उस एरिया में क्या क्या रिसर्च गैप्स है, क्या क्या रिसर्च शॉर्टकमिंग्स है, that you have to find out in the review of literature. So first question, who has done what? Second, what are the research gaps? Third and the major question is how you plan to overcome those research gaps. जो रिसर्च गैप आइडेंटिफाई आपने किया है उस रिसर्च गैप्स को आप कैसे पूरा करोगे थ्रू योर रिसर्च. So review of literature का मतलब तीन चीज है. Who has done what are the research gaps, and how you plan to overcome those research gaps. These are the three things in review of literature. सस्ता सुंदर टिकाऊ में. इसको छोड़ के भाई इसका अतिरिक्त रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर में और कुछ भी नहीं है. मैं पूरा एक दिन आपको पढ़ा सकता हूँ, बट यही तीन रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर है. Who has done what are the research gaps, how you plan to overcome those research gaps. These are the three simplest meaning of review of literature. आप मुझे चैलेंज कर सकते हो, नहीं सर इसको छोड़ के हम ये भी कर सकते हैं, वो भी कर सकते हैं. कैसे भी करोगे तीन ही क्वेश्चन होगा, उससे ऊपर नहीं बनेगा. बता सकते हैं आप, चैलेंज कर सकते हो आप मुझे. ठीक है. Who has done what are the research gaps, how you plan to overcome those research gaps. These are the three simple steps of review of literature. इसको छोड़ के कोई और नहीं, इससे कम कुछ और नहीं. ठीक है. So this is what is called review. Next important step in writing a successful research proposal is your research methodology. Research methodology में हम क्या क्या करते हैं? क्या करते हैं हम research methodology में? क्या करते हैं? आप मुझे कुछ बताएंगे तभी मैं.
So we state the methodology, we state the source from where we are taking our
two things, sources of data sources. You mean to say this?
So
okay, what else? एक ये है, ठीक है. What else you do in research methodology?
Which type of research we are going to conduct, just like empirical, doctrinal, this type of method we quote in our research proposal.
Okay, और क्या करते हैं? अभी तक वो चीज नहीं.
Through which we can collect our data collection and we can prove our hypothesis and we can find out the results of our research.
Okay, और क्या करते हैं? Okay, again
stepwise evaluation.
Stepwise evaluation of what?
So stepwise procedure, how you want to proceed, how you want to take your research ahead, that is basically a methodology which
yes, that is important, but that is not everything about research methodology. So in research methodology, you have to focus again on 3 questions. On research methodology, you have to focus again on 3 questions. Where you will get what? First question, where you will get what? So I am talking of the data sources. You say my research will be based on primary source, secondary sources, fine. But you have to identify those data sources, whether it is primary, secondary, whatever you identify, that is fine. But in the first question, you will mention where you will get what. Right? In the second section, you will talk about now how you will get that. Whatever data sources you have identified, you have to mention how you will get that. I'm talking of data collection methods and techniques and tools, right? In the second question, I'm talking of data collection methods, techniques and tools. So what kind of data collection methods you will use? You will use for getting the data which you identified in the first question. So in the second question, you will talk about data collection methods, data collection techniques. Third, how you will analyze and utilize that in your research. I'm talking of different statistical packages that you may use for analyzing your data and utilizing that in your research. So earlier we used to talk about this SPS method. Now we're talking of Python. We're talking of different other programming languages, Panda. So many statistical packages are there. So I'm in the third question. I'm talking of data analysis methods, data evaluation methods, and how that data analysis can be used in your research, that you have to mention in your research methodology. So 3 questions again, like review of literature. First question is where you will get what. Second, repeat करें, कई बार आप skip कर देते हो.
Which data analysis tool or evaluation methodology will you use?
How will you get that data? How will you get that?
Where you will get what. Second, how you will get that. Third, how you will analyze and utilize that. सस्ता सुंदर again टिकाऊ. 3 क्वेश्चन अगर आप याद करोगे रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी को लेकर, आपको कोई भी कंफ्यूज नहीं कर सकता. और यही 3 चीज ही होता है, और कुछ नहीं होता. ठीक है? Where you will get what, how you will get that, and how you will utilize and use that in your research. That is what is called research methodology. Then the next portion is your relevance and outcome of your study. Relevance and outcome of your study. ठीक है? 4 प्रकार का relevance हो सकता है. There can be 4 types of relevance of the study. One is theoretical, one is methodological, one is conceptual, and the 4th is policy relevant. 4 हो सकता है: theoretical, methodological, conceptual and policy relevant. कितने हो सकता है?
4 types.
4 types. Yes, first is
Theoretical.
Second,
Conceptual.
methodological. Third,
Methodological.
conceptual. Fourth,
Policy oriented.
yes. 4 ही relevance हो सकता है, फिर तो होगा ही नहीं. कैसे? Most of the theories are developed by the Europeans or Americans, and we are blindly following those theories, using those theories in the Indian context. Are you going to challenge any theory? Are you going to refine any theory? Are you going to modify any theory? What is the theoretical contribution you are going to make through your research? That is the first important thing you should mention in the relevance category. For example, there was a theory called white man's burden theory. White man's burden theory. Right? What was the argument of this theory? God has made some people white so that they will civilize the blacks through colonialism, through imperialism. So if there is colonialism or imperialism, it is not a fault of the white people, rather they are doing their duty that was assigned to them by the God. So they are doing God assigned duty to civilize the black people. But we know through Dadabhai Naoroji, who wrote the book Draining of Wealth. In this book Draining of Wealth, he has written that the exploitative and exploitative character of British colonialism in India, right? So there are so many theories that is based on vested interest, that is not based on sufficient data, that is highly biased, and as a researcher, we should not blindly use those theories in the Indian context. Rather, we should challenge those theories. We should question those theories, and we should modify those theories in the Indian context. India were the largest economy of the world till 1000 AD. How many people know this? India was the second largest economy of the world till the medieval period. How many people know this? But it became a third world country during the colonial period. Right? So, these things, these things are not known to everyone. Rather, as I said, many theories are developed by the Europeans, by the Americans to suit their vested interests. That doesn't, explain the Indian research reality. So, as a researcher, it is your duty to question those theories, to modify those theories, and to adapt those theories in the Indian context, rather than to blindly follow and use that theory in the Indian context, right? So that is your theoretical contribution. Conceptual, I said there are lots of concepts, there are lots of terminologies which are highly controversial, which are highly biased and subjective. Are you going to question any concept? Are you going to have a new concept? Are you going to refine any concept? So that should be your conceptual contribution to the research proposal. Like terrorism, I had given the example of terrorism, democracy, secularism, socialism. So many issues are there, and they are highly controversial, highly debated. Right? Are you going to question any of the concepts? Divyang, physically handicapped, this concept, that concept. There are so many concepts. We blindly use those concepts without questioning those concepts. Are you going to question any concept? Are you going to refine any concept? Are you going to modify any concept? Are you going to have a new concept? What is your conceptual contribution that you must mention in the research proposal, right? Third is your methodological contribution. Think of research or data collection before computer and internet. Think of research after internet and computer. Think of research after big data, artificial intelligence, data science, data analytics, and so many things. These are going to drastically change the way we did research, we conducted research, right? So these things are very important. They're going to change everything. As I said, now we're talking of data-driven research, data-based research, evidence-based research, and these big data, they are going to artificial intelligence, big data, data science, data analytics, machine learning. They're going to drastically change the way you did research. So are you going to make any substantial contribution to these areas? What is your methodological contribution that you should mention, right? Similarly, in the policy, relevant area, as I said, there are so many issues that the government has policies that has lots of shortcomings. Government has spent a lot of money on poverty eradication. Why still 30% of the Indian population are poor? And after this COVID, maybe the percentage will rise up. What is the reason? Why, who gets the money? Who gets the benefit? Government has spent a lot of money on cleaning Ganga and Yamuna. Where the money is going, why the rivers are not getting clean? So these are the questions you must raise. So there are some government policies which are based on faulty data or based on wrong data, or they are not sufficiently supported by data. Had the government imposed lockdown, after making a proper study of the informal sector, people who are dependent on the informal sector of the economy, the lockdown would not have severely impacted those people, and many people lost their jobs, lost their work, lost their economic income. It is because of the strictest lockdown India had imposed in March 2019. So right, we should have sufficient study, sufficient research, sufficient data whenever we are thinking of a law, whenever we are thinking of a legislation. Why you have to frame the farming law and then you will abolish those laws? What is the need? Had the government conducted a study on the impact of the farming law on the farmers? Had it consulted the major farming groups? Right? So, that shows that the government policy is not sufficiently backed by the data, backed by sufficient data. So you are in this area, you can contribute for making the government policy strong, for highlighting the inadequacies of the government policy, and highlighting the shortcomings of government policy, right? So in the policy making area also, you can contribute. So are you going to make any contribution in the policy making area? So that is needed. So in 4 areas you can contribute: theoretical, conceptual, methodological, and policy relevant. समझ में आ रहा है? आ रहा है ना, नहीं आ रहा है?
Yes, sir. आ रहा है.
आ रहा है ना?
Yes, sir.
चलो. Next important thing which you must keep in mind while writing a good research proposal is the chapter outline, what is called tentative chapterization. Tentative chapterization. ये बताए एरोप्लेन और बैलून में क्या फर्क है? What is the difference between a hydrogen बर्थडे बैलून नहीं, हाइड्रोजन बैलून और एरोप्लेन में क्या फर्क है? क्या फर्क है? कोई फर्क है? कहाँ गए सब? सुन पा रहे हैं?
Sir, lots of difference.
क्या है? एक बताइए. लॉट्स नहीं, एक बताइए. सब्सटेंशियल डिफरेंस बताइए.
Airplane can carry a number of travelers, but balloon cannot carry. That is so many
2-4
difference.
लोग तो बैलून में जा सकते हैं. हाइड्रोजन बैलून में 2-4 कैरियर नहीं जा सकते.
Sir,
Only 2
aeroplane
and
is a
more
full
people,
body
but
machine.
airplane can carry more travelers.
Cannot guide it.
Sir, aeroplane is a full body machine. It can be used as a proper like mode of transport, unlike helium gas balloon, which is limited to its capacity and other considerations.
Okay. और बैलून. चलिए और कोई फर्क डिफरेंस बता सकते हैं? सब्सटेंशियल में सब्सटेंशियल वर्ड यूज किया था पहले. ये अभी तक तो सारी छूटका मुटका डिफरेंस है. व्हाट इज द सब्सटेंशियल डिफरेंस?
Same difference like a trailer of a movie or full movie.
Okay. Anyway, let me clarify what is the difference first. You know, the major difference between aeroplane and a hydrogen balloon or helium balloon is that, you know, balloon always takes a free path, but aeroplane always takes a fixed path. ठीक है ना? एरोप्लेन जो है फिक्स्ड पाथ फॉलो करता है, बैलून जो है फ्री पाथ फॉलो करता है. इफ एरोप्लेन इज टू लैंड इन न्यू दिल्ली, इट इज नॉट दैट इन एनी पार्ट ऑफ न्यू दिल्ली it will land. It will go to IJ airport. The terminals are defined: terminal A, terminal B, terminal C, or 1, 2, 3. Then in terminal 1 or 2 or 3, you know, the gateway is defined, which gateway it has to follow. Gateway के बाद भी उसके एरो ब्रिज भी डिफाइंड है, कौन सी नंबर की एरो ब्रिज. So everything is fixed for the aeroplane. If it lands outside the Indira Gandhi International Airport and it survives, we say it is crash landing, emergency landing or crash landing. Or if it survives the crash, we say if it is a crash, then we say air crash ho gaya, right? So always, you know, aeroplane always takes a fixed path. Balloon always takes a free path. अगर आप अहमदाबाद में बैलून राइड करते हो, there is no guarantee that you will remain or you will land in India. आप पाकिस्तान भी जा सकते हो, आप अरेबियन सी भी जा सकते हो, आप अफगानिस्तान भी जा सकते हो, because balloon always takes a free path. रिसर्च बिल्कुल बैलून की तरह होता है. You have not done the research, you don't know what is the research outcome, so you will go to the field, do the research, and that's why I said tentative chapterization. Chapterization you will make just to give an idea that what will be the exact nature of the output, but it will be tentative because everything can be changed. Suppose you propose now 8 chapters, when you actually do the research, it will be 6 chapters, it will be 7 chapters, it will be 10 chapters, right? So something can be, so you propose some hypothesis, it may be changed. You propose some research questions, it may be changed. You thought of something which will change. So definitely, and this is all encouraged, and this is good in research, right? So in research, nothing is final, everything is tentative. So once you come out with a data, once you come out with some sufficient evidence, then your hypothesis may be proved, may be disapproved, or may be nullified, right? But whatever may be the outcome of research, you should suggest some chapters that will explain that once the study would be completed, how it will be look like, or how it will look like, you know, first chapter will be this, second chapter will be this, third will be this, fourth will be this. So you should give a tentative idea of the research output which will be available once you conduct the study, right? So a good research proposal should have a tentative chapterization that gives an idea of the expected outcome of your research expected output of your research, right? The last part of your research proposal is bibliography. Use your bibliography, right? There are many styles of writing bibliography, but in India we use either Chicago manual style or Harvard reference system, right? Basically, in India, all the funding councils, they encourage you to write a bibliography conforming to the Chicago manual style, and in some American universities and some European research councils, they encourage the research proposal and particularly the bibliography in Harvard reference style. In the Harvard reference style, you write the surname and stop the name with the first letter. But in the Chicago manual style, you write Upendra Choudhary, right? So you write full name. So the style is somehow different, but the major differences you can find out in online. But what I'm trying to say is, whenever you have to submit a research proposal, don't forget to write 2 or 3 pages, 2 or 3 pages of bibliography, because that gives an idea to the evaluators that what is there in the area, which works are there, whether there is a need for a fresh work or not, whether you are aware of all the literatures available in the field or not. So that makes a fair assessment of your research background, whether you are aware of all the latest literatures available in that area or not. So so that's why, if you are writing a 12-page research proposal, add 3 pages bibliography. That makes a 15-page research proposal. It's a standard research proposal for all. And particularly, as I said, if you are writing a proposal for UGC, for ICSSR, for CSIR, ICMR, or ICPR, or ICHR, so whenever you are applying in India, you have to follow the Chicago manual style. And if you are writing some outside funding agencies like America or in the European Union, so basically you have to follow the Harvard reference system. But whatever style you follow, your research proposal must be supported by at least 2 to 3 pages bibliography. 2 things I would add, and then I will finish here. One is, you are very lucky that you have given a chance to do research. You are lucky because when you studied in the school, if 100 students were studied in the school, only 30 came to the college. Only 30 out of 100 attended the college. 10 did their masters. Only 10 out of 100 did their masters. Less than 1% are doing PhD. आप समझ रहे हो, आप तो 100 में से 1% से कम में आते हो. So if you are doing research, do it sincerely, do it seriously, because you are not only going to get benefits for your research for API points, rather whatever research you are doing, that should be done for others' benefit also. It should support policy making. It should support the community empowerment efforts. It should support the country. It should support the society. Somebody has thought about Google. We are using Google, Meet. Somebody has thought about Zoom. We are using it. Somebody has thought about laptop. We are using it. So what I'm trying to say is, knowledge production is the responsibility of everyone, and particularly those who are the researchers. It is double duty. It is their double duty to teach and to do research. And a society or a country not backed by research will definitely have laws that have no sufficient empirical background. Right? Long back Plato said the best punishment for the first-rate people is that when they are governed by third-rate people. अरे जो इंटेलेक्चुअल है, जो बुद्धिजीवी है, उनको तिहार में भेजना कोई बड़ा पनिशमेंट नहीं है. उनको गधे और मूर्ख जब शासन करेंगे, that is the best punishment. So the the best punishment for first-rate people is that when they are governed by third-rate people. इसीलिए it is our double responsibility to do research and do serious research. And second important point I wanted to highlight is, research writing is a complex procedure. It needs time to think, time to debate, time to discuss, and then refine, then modify, and then formulate a research proposal. It's a time-taking process. So whenever you think that, let fast ICS are advertised, then I will think of a research proposal, that is the wrong method, right? Research proposal is a time-taking method, time-consuming method. Whenever you are writing a research proposal, develop the idea, debate the idea, question the things, discuss that with your colleagues, discuss that with your mentor, discuss that with your teacher, and then refine it, modify it, then prepare a research proposal, and then you apply, right? Don't do otherwise. First there is an advertisement, and then I will think of writing a research proposal. That is the wrong method, right? So with this, I will finish. In case you have any question, I will be happy to answer that.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. What a wonderful deliberation on the topic. And now floor is open for question and answer session. So I think I'll start with one question, sir. Sir, is this nomenclature is different like planning and proposal, or it is interchangeable or overlapping, or we can continue with the same?
Planning for what? You are talking of research methodology?
Yeah, research planning and research proposal.
Proposal, refers to the whole thing. Now, planning basically refers to the methodological section, right? How you do your homework. So, before doing any research, you have to do some homework. And when you are talking of homework, you are talking of planning, right? You should have a plan to execute what you are planning. Or in the proposal, what you should have a plan to execute what you exactly propose in the proposal, right?
And another question, sir, you talked about Chicago reference.
Yeah.
So I think we are having this blue book concept, and sometimes in law we are having this ILI also.
There are lots of local variation, but the two are the standard variation. Okay, so most of the European countries, including UK, South Asian countries, India, we follow Chicago manual style, where the name is there, then after the name there is surname. But in Harvard reference system, first you should have the surname and name. They don't write completely. They write down Choudhary.u. Then year of publication. So they have their different standard. But I'm talking of the funding councils. I would suggest you, whenever you write a bibliography, you always conform to the guidelines applying for the funding council. If they mention about Chicago manual, you follow that. If they're mentioning about Harvard, you follow that. It is always advisable to follow their guidelines.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, any other participants would like to ask question? You can directly ask, or you can write in the chat box also.
I don't think they have any question. Either they understood the research proposal or they have not understood the research proposal. सबको समझ में आया नहीं आया?
Also, like from Janki Ballabdas, social research of higher education institution, does it able to ameliorate the causes of poverty, maladministration, misgovernance, environment issue?
Definitely, I said, whenever you are doing research, you are addressing a particular social problem or social issue. So, research can be of two types. Either you are contributing for knowledge production, or you are contributing for ameliorating the social problem. So, if you are talking of ameliorating the social problem, so basically it's a policy relevant research. It's a policy relevant research. So, you can do that.
Any other question?
So can you help us with the choosing of the sector that we can go for the research in? Because
how you want, what kind of, how you want to choose a topic? You mean to say that?
No, sir, the sector that I should decide that my research will be from here, I will collect data.
Yeah, I would suggest you that most of the funding councils, they will identify the topics and invite you to apply for that topic. Okay. Suppose in ICSR sponsors two kinds of research. One is the sponsored research project. The other is the normal research project. In the normal research project, you apply as per your expertise, as per your choice. But in sponsored research, ICSR will identify the emerging issues and you have to respond to that.
Thank you, sir.
Another question by Mohammad Atar Rahman, that any major difference between synopsis and research proposal?
Basically, synopsis you do for PhD research and research proposal you do for research project. right? Some points are added, like how much time you need for kind of finishing the study. For minor project, I said 1 year. For major studies, I said for 2 years. But PhD is always 3 to 5 years. Everybody knows that. So basically, the term PhD synopsis, we say PhD synopsis. So synopsis is related to PhD thesis, and research proposal is mainly for scholarship and research projects.
So I think with this, we come to an end for this session. Now I would like to request our HOD sir for concluding remarks. Sir, if you are there.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible. Yeah.
Sir, can you share your email or any other way that
I will. In fact, I would request Dr. Tariq to give the email address of all the participants so that I can give some useful information about funding.
Sure, sir. Okay. Sure, sir.
And let me, I have just forgotten, there is a very good, interesting YouTube channel called Rebooting Master Science. Let me just write down here. Rebooting Master Science, which gives complete information about ICSR funding, research projects, different types of fellowship, all this. So in case you want to visit or know more about ICSR funding, you can visit this YouTube channel called Rebooting Master Science. Rebooting Master Science.
Right? The FDP ID is given in the chat box. Okay. You can mail your all details and materials over here. We will mail to the participants.
Sure. That can be.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. If you don't have any question, I think we have finished the session.
Thank you very much, Upendra sir, for very informative sessions.
Thank you.
And really, our participants are really enjoyed very well.
Thank you.
And we expect that in future we'll be organizing some more FDPs. We'll definitely invite you.
Sure.
Thank you very much for your great insights.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Upendra sir.
Thank you, Rakesh ji. Thank you, Dr. Tariq.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the great insights, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank
you. Now we wind up this session, and now I request Aditi ma'am to inform our participants about next session, when it will be going to start, and what is the topic. And the feedback form is, I think, is there?
Yeah, it's already in the chat box.
Yeah,
and
over
the
to
next
Aditi.
session. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. The feedback form link is already mentioned in the chat box, and our next session is at 2 p.m. The speaker for the session is Professor Alok Pandey, and the topic for that particular session is effective case teaching and learning. From 2 o'clock, and this link will be activated. The link for that session is the same. The link for all the sessions is actually same. So I will activate this link from 1:45 p.m.
Stay tuned. Thank you very much, Dr. Aditi.
Once again,
thank you, Dr. Rakesh.
Once again, thanks to our guest and all the wonderful participants who patiently hear this deliberation. Thank you once again to everyone. Thank you so much.